Hi, it's Susan at Seaside Stitches, and thank you for dropping by and watching my video. It is Friday Sews, hashtag Friday Sews, which is set up by Jen today in St Joseph's. But today is Sunday, and it would be Friday Sews for the 8th of September, so we would be on the 10th of September now. Okay, we're up to date. So thank you, Jen, for setting up this hashtag. It joins people who are wanting to know about people who are sewing, and people who are sewing and wanting to vlog have some kind of audience, and it's lovely for you to stop by if you're a member of this audience and watch my video, even if it's just for a few minutes till you check me out. So it's lovely to be here with you, and loosely the format is that we chat for a little bit about what sewing we've done, or what sewing we're interested in, or what sewing related issues have gone on, and a little bit about life. So I'll start with life. Yesterday was really lovely. One of my sisters came with, Leslie and Carl came, and Carl was coming. We'd been trying to arrange it for some time because they work full time and they work opposite each other, so it's not easy to get a time when he could come and help Alan carry a very heavy radiator downstairs and another equally, well, maybe a bit more heavy radiator upstairs, because it's a double lined one, so that Alan can get on with this room. So I'd had all my furniture piled over this way. So they came yesterday and they brought their grandson with them, and it was lovely. We had a lovely time, and it's just so nice just to have a bit of company. It's we've gone a bit reclusive in a way. It's a bit strange really, but we've never been ones to go nip round to other people's houses just for the sake of it. I have so I've got some news. I've got some happiness about the fact that, yes, I was aware last time, I think when I spoke last time, my Sojo had returned, in that I had finished my red beautifully bonkers fabric Pattern Emporium Take the Chance dress, and I was wearing it at the time. And during that video I was talking about, I really want to get back into bag making. I've made quite a number of By Annie bags and quite a number of Debbie Shaw bags. Not masses of them, but I do like making bags. And a couple of people recently, kind of around in my zone, I've been talking about making bags, and I thought, well, I've been trying to get back to it, but I've had other things that I wanted to get on with, and I've been quite happy with that. But then I lost my Sojo, as you probably know, and I just couldn't get on with things, and I realised that I'd just got, the room was a mess, but we can always work in a mess when we do more than one project at a time. But because I had to keep moving it backwards and forwards because of the window broke, there's lots of silliness really. It's not felt fluid and freeing to just get things the way I want them. I'm very privileged with my room. It's a big space. To me, this is a big space. But some of my organisation wasn't working for me, and it got kind of stuck in some areas. Now, I've been editing most of the day to put a video out probably midweek. I usually do a Tuesday one if I'm doing one in the week. But to catch up on trying to reorder the back wall of things, my patterns for, sorting through my patterns and going through my indie patterns that are in my PDFs. And I've still got 2 boxes of those that I haven't shown, even in this video that I've just done. And I still haven't gone through the fabrics that I wanted to talk about. In there I'm realising what it is that I'm getting blocked by saving half yards, half metres, pieces of fabric to go with other pieces of fabric, but not full yardage. So that's kind of blocking my space for when I've got something coming in. I don't get lots of fabric. Well, since it's been my birthday, I had some money to spend, and I did get a couple of fabric. Well, actually I bought a couple of fabrics. I'm still waiting for them. And I was inspired to get a little bit more of the Eco Vera, is it called, from Guthrie and Garney, the special garden one that they had that means something to them personally and to their family. That was a special edition. That piece has come now. I had one piece, but I was only going to do a top, and I realise now I've seen something else I would like to do, so I did use some of my birthday money to purchase another piece, and then I've got, yeah, That feels like there's something going on in my mind there. And I think that's what I want to talk about, because what I released from saying out loud that I really want to get back to some bag making was that I really focused on that. So having said that on the Thursday probably, and I put the video out on the Friday, that I really spent some time on that Friday looking at what I do want to make in terms of bags and how I would make them and what I would make them with. And that was quite a useful process. And I love the process of sewing. I don't always need to be sewing. It's not an important thing for me to be head down and sewing seams and overlooking and creating and producing. I like the process of it, and I like the thought that goes into putting colours together and and it's all that kind of thing, and I also watch videos to reacquaint myself with. I don't know if you're aware, very many of you are aware of By Annie. So there is an organisation called byannie.com, and Annie from there has a kind of family team around her, and they put out videos. From the lockdown, what she started to do, or what the team started to do, is put out a live every Wednesday, 2 p.m. Mountain Time, I believe. And so that comes up, but if you ever do want to watch, so there's been an awesome series of every Wednesday covering different bags, different types of things, how to bind, how to, zippers are easy, beautiful binding, all that kind of thing that kind of gets your juices flowing about, well, that's interesting, I think I could do that, and the wonderful fabrics and the different functions of the bags that she produces. So I'm a real enthusiast, and once I've got into it, I love the process. It's quite complicated for me and my brain, because there aren't templates. It's about measuring twice and before you cut and all that kind of thing. And I can look at the pattern. It's very clearly stated. Everything is very clear. There are kind of bullet points and a tick box so that you don't do something twice or you don't miss a step. So there's all that, but I can read, like, cut a 7.5 inch piece by 4 3/4, and I know, and I can turn around to them. Oh, and my table has moved because the radiator is in. We've reset the room a little bit, and also because I've got to move some of it away again so that the window can be replaced. We looked at which ways would be better for us to be able to move it quickly, kind of thing, if we just got a little bit of notice that they would be coming. But I've opened up this space by putting my table on this side, and just as I walk in, I've got this openness and this flow that just feels wonderful. I mean, we only reset it up last night, but already it feels wonderful. So when I keep going like that, that's where my table is, and that's where my patterns are. My By Annie folder with my several patterns. So anyway, so I can look at that and I can know in my mind that I want, I don't even know if I can say it again to you, but I'll say it's 7.5 by 4 1/4. I can't remember what the thing was already, but I can see that. I know what it is. I can imagine it in my mind. I know the height. The first measurement is always the height. I know the other bit is the width, so that you know which is an elongated piece or a wide piece, all that kind of thing. And I can turn, and I can immediately have forgotten what the measurement was. Was it 7 3/4? Was it 7 1/4? Was it by 4 3/4? Was it by... So I have to, more on some days than others, but I have to keep looking back at the pattern, having another check, having it there by me, making sure that I've done it, that I'm getting it right before I cut it. So sometimes, if I can get into that headspace, I can prepare more bags while I'm in that headspace, rather than prepare one, put that to one side, and then start sewing it. because the sewing needs a different part of my headspace. But what I managed to do was, on the Saturday, I chose the fabric. I worked out the sizes and everything and the way I would quilt it, because you can quilt it in one piece as if you're using long arm or a short arm, but a long arm. So you can, if you sent it to a long arm to do it, then you can be making massive pieces if you want. But she shows you two different ways of doing it, if you want to quilt the whole piece or if you want to do it in quilt sets. Because also sometimes if you're using kind of directional or semi-directional fabrics, you don't want everything going that way if you've got something you're going to turn. I know what I mean. So anyway, I had it all in my mind. I watched a video, weirdly. So I decided I would do the In Control. I have made, it's the catch-all caddy. I show it you, or it's on the thing nearly every week. I've made one of those. I made one the January before last January. And I did a sew along with it. Well, it's more a sew with me. So I don't do a sew along as in, so now you take this piece and that piece and we go to the machine and we do that. For me, my sew alongs are usually come and sew with me, so you can watch what I'm doing. I can talk you through it, or I can talk about how I feel doing it. So it's not necessarily, you are company for me, and I hope I am company for you. But anyway, I found the best way, so I didn't want to do another catch-all caddy. I wanted to do the smaller one. I'd already got the pattern for the In Control, which is the smaller version of the catch-all caddy. And so all different measurements to what I had used, but basically the same format, the same way of making it, using the skills that I've already got. So I found that I watched my own sew along to remind me, oh yes, that's what I do with the bellow dividers. I mean, the details are in the add-on videos with the pattern anyway, but to be able to watch myself and remember how I did that, that was quite good. So yeah, so I did over the Saturday and Sunday. I'd laid out the pieces, I'd cut the pieces, and then on the Monday I began to sew it. And I don't go at it elf for leather. I do it to my pace. I didn't have a deadline, so I just wanted to sew and enjoy the sew and enjoy remembering how to do it. And so I've got that one already, just to put the there are three final steps really. The first one of those is that you construct the whole bag together. So I've got the front and the back with the dividers on, the pockets on the front, the internal bellow dividers on each side. I've got the strip made, I've got all that all bound and done, and I just have to join that together. And then, so that's the first thing. Then you need to apply your inner binding, or whichever way you're doing it, but your first layer of binding, bias binding. And then the hardest part for me is always turning the binding and then getting a good accurate 1/4 inch seam. It's not a seam line, is it? Just getting a good finish to the binding. So it's because, I don't know if you're aware of bianni patterns, but anyway. So what I'm showing you now is, this is my second one that I've cut out. So you're basically making a quilt sandwich. So you've got your main fabric, your soft and stable, which is the stabilizer, your lining fabric, and then you quilt that. Quilt those together with a walking foot. It's not difficult. Mark it out and then quilt it. And there are videos on her channel on how to do the quilting. There's videos on all aspects of it, but doesn't come to you as a full sew along. There are 3 patterns that she has that are free patterns, that if you do each of those patterns first, you will have each and every step that you'll need for most of her bags. So I just think it's an awesome setup, really. Anyway, enough of that. Not getting paid by them. So what you've got is a quilt sandwich. So then if you put on your, and you put a pocket on there, so you put your pocket on upside down to bring it up, if you know what I mean. So your row edge is on there and you bring that up. So in that instance you've got your 3 layers of fabric, these 3 layers for the bottom of your pocket, the raw bottom of your pocket, the turning over part where you top stitch it. So you've now got 3 layers, 3 layers and 3 layers, so you're in 9 layers of you're on 3 layers of quilt sandwich together. So once you start sewing those together and you put binding on, your binding is double, so you've got 3 layers of quilt sandwiches I'm going to say sandwiches, and 2 layers of bias binding, and then you sew that down on, and then when you turn that over you've got the other 2 layers that have come over, so you've now got, you're going through 3 layers of 3 quilt sandwiches, a double layer of binding, and adding another double layer of binding. And so when you sometimes it's easy for it to knock the bounciness of the foam. It's really quite, because you're also sewing on a curve, so you have a curve that you are, I'm not, if you want to look at it, it's on my it's on probably part 2 of my Catch-All Caddy sew along, but I don't want to get into too much detail. I'm just saying that that can be sometimes why some people say it's quite a meaty sew, because you're concentrating on keeping an accurate 1/4 inch seam as you're going round, and then part of it is bending one way and you're bending it another. So it's fun. And the first time I did it, the first bag I did was the Easy Does It bag, and I felt like I needed physio on my shoulders after that. It was like, oh my God, what am I doing? Anyway, apart from that, it's marvellous. So after I've done this video, I'm going to, usually as I cut out the pieces, I put on the pattern you get a printed sheet, and on it are some squares that show you what your, it's very important when they put all this work into making a pattern that we don't just share all the measurements and everything. So on this I have, let me see if I can do this. So that shows that it's the In Control, that it's the quilted fabric, and it's pocket A and B. So when you cut that piece out, normally when I cut each piece out, I attach these with oh, I thought they were on that side, they're there. Everything's on the wrong side now. With one of your quilt clips, and so then you don't get mixed up with whatever else has to be joined together. So I'm going to put check my measurements and put all my labels on ready, because it's so easy just to think, oh right, well that's that, and then you realise you've attached the wrong piece. So anyway, so I am really pleased I have got this. I had intended to do this morning, but it ended up that I got stuck into the editing instead. Alan was doing something else, so I took advantage and used the equipment to get on with some editing. Yeah, so I'm buzzing really. I've done more or less. I've done the first one. I don't mean I've still got the hard part to do, but I've not put it to one side because I can't face the hard part. I've got the mindset for cutting and measuring and cutting because I've already done it, and also now I've got a refreshed memory of how I put it all together. Now I will check every stage before I actually do that, because one of the surefire things if you are doing a by any pattern, do not make an assumption that you know what comes next, because it's a very different way of working than making a garment. Now I might be telling my mother to suck eggs, Yes, which is just a phrase of like, I'm sure you already know this, but it can be easy to sort of go, oh right, well you'd do it that way, wouldn't you? Quite often that's not how she does things. Sometimes they feel like they're counterintuitive the way everything works, but so I'm really pleased with that, and I just feel like I can get on with that. Now there's another thing that I've done. I said something about being reclusive, and apart from us being in the samba band, the community samba band, which actually sadly we're taking a back seat from, because both of us physically are not doing very well when it comes to an event, and especially if it's a marching event and it's quite energetic, isn't it? But it's, well, I can't remember what, strenuous. So it's strenuous carrying a drum. It's strenuous drumming some of the faster tunes, and we're both suffering afterwards from that. So we decided, we took a big break kind of throughout the year and only did it sporadically. But the last twice we've decided we're withdrawing. So we're just doing this Christmas. If there's a Christmas fundraiser, we will do that, because we don't have to. We will be walking with our drums to the site in the town centre, but we won't be having to carry them and drum at the same time. So then if there is a fundraising event, usually for the hospice or the hospital, then we will join that and then all go for the Christmas lunch kind of a thing. And that kind of would probably be us then. So, but that's our kind of social type thing that we do. But I posted a dress, my finished Take the Chance dress, on Stitched Up Facebook group, which I'm very pleased to be a member of. There's some awesome things that people make. And I did notice as I was scrolling through that Christine at Gemini Stitches had organised a kind of a Northwest sewing social, and very easy for me to get to, and I know the area, the general area I know quite well. So that felt like, oh, now then. So I checked for the September one, but that was full. And then I didn't think they were opening up for bookings yet for the October one, but so it's as far as I know, it's Christine and her sister-in-law runs the venue. I don't know if they both run it together, but Christine is running the sewing aspect, and I know Sharon is her sister-in-law, and she runs the event place. And like I said, I don't know if they run it together, but so merging the two, then you've got a sewing enthusiast and you have a venue. And so I just emailed there and just said I would be interested in the October one, and I got a message back saying that I've sent my deposit or sent my money, then I would be on the list for that. So I have booked that, and I was quite excited that I'd allow myself to book it. I had thought for a little while that I would love to have gone to what seems to be called the South Manchester one that Nadia goes to, or Nadia arranges, I'm not sure which. But that is a bit more complex driving wise for me to get to. And on top of I won't call it anxiety, and there's a little uneasiness of me walking into a group of people that I don't know. And even if I know them from a YouTube channel, or they think they know me from a YouTube channel, we don't really know each other, do we? So I'm there's a bit of trepidation about what that would be like. But I'm pleased that I'm putting myself, it sounds awful, I'm putting myself through this. But I feel like it's a nice thing to do, and it's not be something I've been desperate about, being part of a sewing social, but I just feel like I would like to give it a go. So it can work and it can't, because if all we have in common is the sewing, that's okay. It's not everything, is it? So, you know what I mean? I can't explain that really, but anyway. So for that day, I will have in common with whoever else is there that I like sewing. So I'm really pleased I'm doing it. So that's in October. And I've mentioned that because that's part of the life thing, because I feel like I've been in a dip. I've been in some sort of a dip. Not in a depression, but I've been in a dip. and it feels like I'm kind of coming out a bit more and kind of widening my horizons a little bit. So that feels good, and so I'm really pleased about that. So that's why I'm sharing it with you, really, because it feels like just that's a good thing. And I don't know, I mean, I can exercise. It may not be for me, it may not be the right one for me, it may not be, not because of anybody there, it just may not be the right level of ease for me, because I won't know what level of ease I need until I've been and experienced it. I don't know if you'll know what I mean, but anyway, that's it. So I'm quietly buzzing about it. I'm not, I think, I can't explain what I mean really. I know Christine herself is just wildly excited about it, and why wouldn't she? Because she's running it. But I'm kind of on the edge of that, and I'm kind of cautiously optimistic. But it's things like the practicalities of carrying my machine. And I mean, there's a car park just outside it, I believe. So it's carrying my machine, remembering what things I will take, deciding on what project I will do. Because if I'm with people who are like me, who like to chat, then I may not get anything done. So I've got to look at what I can do that I can do without having to have my thinking head on too much, or I'll be like, oh, yeah. So anyway, I'm just sharing that. And what I'm wearing is my Bondi, my Sinclair Patterns Bondi t-shirt. And yes, I can't think of anything else to say except that I've been watching some amazing videos. I've been watching kind of around the edge of the people I normally watch. I can't explain what that means really. For quite a while I tend not to be it's a weird thing to say. I tend not to be watching the big hitters, the elite, the kind of, I don't know. I'm really enjoying just looking at some of the smaller channels, and like myself, and some kind of on the edge of the kind of thing that I do. So not as, I don't know, I can't explain what the knot is, but I'm finding some people that I hadn't been aware of, and I think that's part of my journey of being part of the little homely house, the last homely house fan group of Kate and the last homely house and the last homely garden, and the people who are on there who are very craft wise and quilty wise and rustic wise, and we all sit on a lime green sofa. If you've never been, you don't know what I'm talking about. We all sit on a lime green sofa watching Kate and chatting and passing tea and coffee and chocolates and juice and bonhomie to each other on this lime green sofa while we watch very authentic kind of rustic channel. And she's just recently hit 100,000 subscribers. So when I say I'm watching the smaller channels, I don't mean it like that really. I don't know. I don't want to have to be editing loads of this out, so I'm just going to go with it. But then there are things, then that gets you into Anna and Carlos. Well, I love watching Anna and Carlos. And the peripheral things to the general consensus of routine kind of vlogging, where share the plans, share the makes, and share the hauls. Well, I don't have hauls really, and I don't like to specify what I'm going to make, when I'm going to make it, and so I don't fit kind of in that context, and I don't vlog. I can video a lot, and I'm really pleased as well, which sounds a bit weird, but I did not vlog any of the making of the In Control, and the progress was much more simple because I didn't do that. And I want that for myself. I want the simplicity of, like I say, it's complicated enough for me to know that I have to really train my mind on the two measurements that I'm going to move to one side. If I'm also talking to a camera, then that distracts me. So it's been lovely not doing that. This is a different thing. But the problem is a lot of the content gets built up then, and I don't get chance to edit it And some days it's a kind of, do I sew or do I film? And if I want to do a relatively just get on with it task, I'm better if I don't film. So I don't know where that puts you in watching me, who is a vlogger. So it's just lovely for you to have been here, and I'm appreciative. And thank you ever so much for subscribing to my channel. But if you haven't subscribed and you don't want to, that's fine. I'm really pleased that you're viewing. Thank you very much for viewing. If you'd give me a thumbs up if you do enjoy it, then I would be really pleased. If you would love to, I would love it if you would comment. I'm absolutely useless at getting back to you, but that's not because I don't want to. I have some sort of block that prevents me from just a knee-jerk kind of a doing it, and then it becomes a thing that I can't then do. It's something I've had all my life. There's lots of psychological reasons for it. Not going into them. I'm not even bothered about them. But rest assured, if you've left me a comment, I will have read it and I will have smiled. And hopefully I will love you back, and then I will come round to giving you a comment, and I will be very appreciative that you have done so. So I'm just telling you a little bit about my weird process, because I am quite weird. So thank you ever so much for watching, and I can't think there's anything else I need to tell you. No, that's it. Thank you. Yes, so I have put another video together which wasn't meant to be about my indie pattern sorting, and it got so long I didn't get into the fabric sorting, so I've chopped it off there, and then we'll have to do the fabric sorting on another one. So thanks for being there. I really appreciate you, and I've got over 900 subscribers. What's that about? Thank you. So bye for now, and just have a lovely week and a lovely life, you know. Just do what you need to be doing for you. Lots of love. Bye for now. Susan at Seaside Stitches signing off for #Friday Sews on a Sunday. Bye.